Much, Carol, and good afternoon. My name is Emmanuel Caldillo, and I serve as the Senior Advisor with the White House Hispanic Prosperity Initiative in Washington, D.C. And then I'll pass it on to my judges to introduce themselves.
Good afternoon. I'm Jen Howell. I am the Co-Executive Director of Virginia Civics. We are the home of the Virginia We the People program.
And I'm Tom Tinder, an attorney from Charleston, West Virginia.
I made the panel introduce themselves as well as their teacher.
Hi, we are Unit 3 of Fall Creek Junior High. My name is Lacey Hart.
I'm Elena Girolis.
I'm Lauren Steiner.
And I am Sanjana Malanani. Our sponsors are Patrick Bradshaw and Jeannie Medeiros.
Wonderful, wonderful. I look forward to hearing your presentation. And so first, I will state the question, and then once I complete it, then you may begin. In the Virginia plan, James Madison proposed proportional representation in both houses of Congress. The delegates rejected Madison's proposal in favor of the Great Compromise. What is the Great Compromise, and how was it justified? Do you think the founders' justification is acceptable today? Why or why not? What are the advantages and disadvantages of equal representation in the Senate? What are the advantages and disadvantages of changing the Senate to proportional representation? You may begin.
At the Constitutional Convention in 1787, an argument broke out that almost destroyed the Constitution before it was started. It was over congressional representation between the proportional favoring Virginia plan and equal favoring New Jersey plan. The Great Compromise resolved this by creating a bicameral legislature with a proportional House and equal Senate.
The founders' main justification for the Great Compromise was its necessity for maintaining solidarity at the convention. As Federalist 62 states, it is superfluous to try a part of the Constitution which is allowed on all hands to be the result of a spirit of amity, which our political situation rendered indispensable. This displays the founders' opinion that the Great Compromise is self-justifiable by the vital role it played in keeping harmony between the states and delegates at the convention.
The Great Compromise is justifiable today because it establishes the important role of the two houses of Congress in federalism, and it still plays an important role in maintaining peace between the states. If the Great Compromise is removed, we would be in the same predicament as the founders at the convention. Small and large states would resume disputes, leading to a potential civil war.
The Great Compromise is not justifiable because there's more disparity between large and small state populations today than at the convention, resulting in small states having a disproportionately large voice in today's Senate. With each California senator encompassing 19 million more people than a Wyoming senator, California has a serious disadvantage in representation. This senatorial imbalance also affects the Electoral College, with each of California's Electoral College votes representing roughly 200,000 more people than each of Wyoming's. To make large state representation fair, it may be time to shift from the Great Compromise.
An advantage of equal senatorial representation is the protection of small state priorities. Wyoming is the largest producer of coal in the United States, accounting for 39.3% of total U.S. coal production. Meanwhile, many states like California have drastically reduced coal production. Without equal representation, large states like California could divert government money away from coal mining and towards their own priorities. Equal senatorial representation fends against this oppression.
A disadvantage of equal senatorial representation is that it no longer serves its original purpose of representing states. Originally, the Senate was meant to represent the states and maintain state individuality, while the House represents the people. Yet, with the 17th Amendment, Senate members are no longer voted by state legislatures, but by the people, and are less likely to have state interests at heart.
An advantage of switching to a proportional Senate is a fairer say for large states in financial matters. As of 2020, Wyoming, Montana, and Vermont all contribute only 0.2% to the US GDP, and California contributes a whopping 14.7%. Large states generally pay much more in federal taxes than small states, yet small states have equal say in financial matters within the Senate. Larger states contributing more revenue to the US economy and more funding for the government budget should have a larger say in what is done with this money, but this isn't provided with an equal Senate.
A disadvantage of switching a Senate that would shift the power of current political parties. Since the Democratic Party outnumbers the Republican Party by about 10 million US registered voters, if the Senate was turned proportional, the Democratic Party would have a larger voice than the Republican Party. Switching the Senate could also lead to the executive branch leaning towards Democratic nominees, as a result of the consequent shift in Electoral College apportionment. As the executive nominates Supreme Court justices, the judicial branch could also permanently lean towards the Democratic Party. Any party in control without the check of an opposing party will lead to suppressions of ideals outside those of the reigning political group. Dominance of one party in the federal government could be considered an important disadvantage of switching the Senate.
While there are valid points on both sides of the representation dispute, there does not seem to be a clear win-win solution. But as Colin Powell, former U.S. Secretary of State, said,
Just as they did in Philadelphia when they were writing the Constitution, sooner or later, you've got to compromise.
we are now ready for your follow-up.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation, and we look forward to our discussion here. So I'll start first. You've given us the advantages and disadvantages, changing the Senate to proportional representation. So now you're in the driver's seat. If you have the opportunity to make that change, or convince your colleagues to make that change, should we change the Constitution to make representation in the Senate based on population? Why or why not?
I do not believe that we should change the Senate to make it based on population because this would take away the voice of the small states. Rather, I believe that to make financial matters more fair for larger states, we could attempt setting a ratio of large state to small state delegates within the financial committees in the Senate.
I respectfully disagree with my colleague Sanjana. I believe that we should turn the Senate to proportional representation because right now the large states have an unfair disadvantage in financial matters in the Senate. This is shown when in 2001, California received $5,200 in direct federal funding per capita, where Wyoming received $7,200.
I respectfully disagree with my colleague Elena. If we shifted the senatorial representation to proportional, then there were cases like in 2017 in the CON debate, New York was imported many goods that New Jersey was going to purchase, though New York placed very high taxes. This problem was solved because of the equal representation, but it would not have been brought up if we had proportional representation.
So why do you think it's so important to have states represented? I mean, the Constitution starts with we the people. So why are states just so important? Why can't we just redraw the state lines to make the population equal or get rid of states altogether?
It is important for the states to maintain some individuality through the Senate because these state economies differ quite a bit. In Wyoming, coal mining is a big part of their economy, while many other states have reduced that production. And this could be overlooked. Wyoming could suffer if they were not properly represented.
I agree with my colleague Sanjana, and for a more modern example, in cases with the coronavirus, many states are being hit in different ways. So if we did not have states, then it would be harder for the one government to control how rules were set in different areas.
To build off of my colleague Lacey, having states allows a bit of a divide. So when distributing different COVID relief supplies, it would be a lot easier to do distributing between the states than having to distribute between one nation or one people.
We have two main political parties in the United States, whereas some other countries have 3, 4, 5, 6 major political parties. Do you think it would be beneficial if we had more than 2 major political parties in the United States? Why or why not?
I believe that it would be not as great of an idea to have more political parties, as there is already a ton of political unrest between the 2 main ones that we have currently. So adding in more political parties could cause more of a divide in our nation.
I agree with my colleague Lauren. This is seen with the English Parliament. They have multiple political parties, and it is extremely chaotic. And if we did choose to have multiple political parties, I believe that this would lead to our government being extremely chaotic and inefficient.
I respectfully disagree with my colleagues. I believe that if we did have more political parties, then people would be able to follow their principles more rather than sacrificing some things that may be important to them to follow the lines of their political party. In the British Parliament, the political parties often have to meet together and work together to form coalitions, and this would promote compromise in our government.
So my next question, in your statement, you said we should be, maybe it's time to shift from the Great Compromise. And I think in my earlier question, there was a mention about like one of them being an attempted ratio in the Finance Committee. And so my question to you is, if we're making that, if it's time to make the shift from the Great Compromise, what are some solutions you would propose in order to improve representation today?
If we were to shift from the Great Compromise, I would take away the effect of the Senate in the Electoral College, so that states would not be at so much of a difference in the Electoral College.
Another thing that I would propose is the removal of the filibuster. Not only is it sometimes being abused in the Senate, it is also leading to a lot of inefficiency. And this can be seen, for example, in the 84th Congress, which was from 1955 to 1956, the Senate passed 2,410 bills. However, in recent years, only 278 bills have been passed, which is a direct example of the overuse of the filibuster.
To add on to my colleagues Lauren and Sanjana, if I were to change the Great Compromise, I would just get rid of the Senate altogether and just have the House of Representatives, because with the Senate, I believe that it is no longer a cooling breath of air over a hot cup of tea. I believe that it is extremely inefficient and just delaying things.
I respectfully disagree with my colleague Elena. Through the Senate, we give power to the minority, and if we didn't, we would take away, if not all, then almost all of the power that they have. For example, in 2012, the Buffett rule was a bill to be passed in the Senate that favored income-based taxes. They held a filibuster debate, and 45 Republicans voted to keep the debate going, which kept the bill from becoming a law, and this was beneficial to the minority, which was the Republicans at the time.
All right, so let's bring it home a little bit. Thinking about your own situation, your own state, can you evaluate for me how the current system of representation is working for you?
With our state, Indiana, we are mostly Republicans. So with our current government, how it is beneficial to us, because with the filibuster, Republicans in the Senate are allowed to have a voice, and we tend to be on the smaller side of a state. So with the Senate, we are being represented more fairly.
You made the statement that bigger states should have more votes because they pay more taxes. Should we give more votes to an individual because that individual pays more taxes? Why or why not, following along your theory?
We should not give individuals more votes because they pay more taxes. However, I believe that giving the states a bit more say in the government budget is a different matter, because since they are contributing, may I finish my statement? Since they are contributing a larger portion of that, they would want more of the government budget to reflect their economies and their needs.
Give yourself a deep breath, because your presentation is completed as well as the discussion, and you did an incredible job. I thoroughly enjoyed this discussion, and this was a discussion where we're able to tackle so many different topics, which showed your depth and breadth of this topic. And I want to commend you for being prepared, for having good thoughts on what we should do in regards to changing from the Great Compromise, to even the research about, who's really paying into the GDP, and why they're getting more voice than other states who are contributing a lot more than they are. And so I totally commend you on that. And so as you continue doing your presentations, continue adding on those examples, the quotes, because those continue to enhance your presentation. So I encourage you to keep doing that, because then what it does is allows us to be able to look at different parts of the conversations and be able to learn more from you. So I commend you on a great presentation today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation, and you guys did something that I've been really looking for in responses, which is you were able to answer the question and give us your opinion. And then you were able to take it even further and back that opinion up with really concrete examples. And then just like the cherry on top of all of that was your ability to take that and then do a comparison with other systems. And I thought that that was just a really sophisticated way of looking at all sides of the issue. I also liked that you disagreed with each other, and you didn't just disagree for the sake of disagreeing. You had evidence, again, to back up your positions. I was writing down all of your examples. I won't go through them, but I mean, it's a lengthy list. And that, I mean, it was just really, really well done. And I was sitting here thinking, like, there is no way that these, that you guys weren't part of last weekend's national competition, with the senior high schoolers. Like, that was the level that you guys were at. So just really, really well done. I am really looking forward to our conversation tomorrow.
I guess the best comment that I could make is that Carol is now going to put 10 more minutes on the clock, and we're going to, because you can teach us so much. That was just superb. I'm glad that this is recorded, and I'm going to recommend that the Center for Civic Education put it on their website as the premier We the People session. First of all, I must say, congratulations to the teachers and your coaches and your mentors. They've done a superb job. But to you, I'd say, I don't know where to start. It was an interesting story that you told in your initial presentation. I mean, and then you started with examples. And so I wrote down examples, so I'd make sure that I commented on that. Then as you gave more examples, I underlined that to make sure that I said, then I put exclamation points before and after, because you gave so many right on the point examples to illustrate your point. It was just superb. And then I have a canned question that I ask every group. And I didn't get a chance to ask my canned question because you all answered it in your about unicameral and bicameral. I mean, it's my question, and you all answered it without me even having to ask it. So I don't know what else to say other than it was just superb. And as Jen said, we look forward to talking with you again tomorrow. But I must add to you, you cannot let this We the People competition be, some sort of a class project or a semester activity or whatever. And then you go on to other things starting on Monday. You must stay involved and participate and be the good citizen that you are. I mean, it was truly an inspiring presentation and a question and answer period. It makes me feel good to know that our future, the future of your community and the future of your state and our country are in the hands of people like you. Congratulations. Best of luck to you. Thank you so much.